simply, if we boil this down, one of the big issues appears to be whether or not the jury in this case was impartial enough given the huge publicity surrounding this, right?
Yeah, the impartiality of the jury is definitely one of the pieces of this decision, but it's only focused on the impartiality about imposing the sentence of death. The court makes it very clear in the decision here that Dzhokhar Tsarnaev is going to spend the rest of his life in prison. The only question is whether his life is going to end by natural causes or whether a second jury hearing the case is going to also impose the death penalty. So it's really focused for the appeal part on that issue. Is there going to be a death penalty that is reimposed on Dzhokhar Tsarnaev?
Greg, is this something that we were expecting, or is this a stunner?
I think it's a surprise to some people who followed the case because there was such overwhelming evidence. But on the other hand, if you were paying attention to the portions of jury selection and many of the motions that were filed by the defense attorneys afterwards, there was Facebook postings by members of the jury and some questionable things that came out about whether those jurors were able to, in fact, be impartial. So if you look very closely at the decision, I think the court went into painstaking detail to make this an opinion that people can read and appreciate, and also see that out of an abundance of caution, this is something that needs to happen in order to protect the rights of the defendant.
So, Greg, you point out Dzhokhar Tsarnaev will remain in prison. There's no shot of him getting out of prison here. The question will be if they have to seat a new jury and have a penalty phase, basically to decide whether or not he should be put to death. They're going to have to go through all that evidence again, right? So this new jury has all the background they need to make that decision?
Absolutely. The government is going to be able to put in the gory details about the case, the very grim reality of what occurred on that day, and the events afterwards. So that will all be a part of the second penalty phase. If you recall, this is similar to what happened in the Gary Sampson case years ago, where a second jury had to be seated on the penalty phase. So it's not unheard of that this would happen, but there will be much more detail now that comes out for the second jury about the case so that they have an understanding of whether or not the death penalty is appropriate here.
Gary Sampson, that was New Hampshire, right, Greg? Wasn't that?
Yes, those were the Gary Sampson case. Obviously involves some different charges, but it's not unheard of to have a penalty phase held separately by a different jury after an appeals court hears a decision like this.
And then this all brings it all back up for the victims and the survivors of this case that began so many years ago. Our legal analyst Greg Henning joining us now.